Hello and welcome to Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies. I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with Jihadists from Niger, Mali, Libya taxing Nigerian farmers. That's coming from reps. Adds jihadists work with local bandits to make life unbearable for farmers. As reps ask military to deploy more personnel, equipment to comb forest. Troops clear mango ambush, neutralize three bandits, recover weapons. It's unacceptable for bandits from outside Nigeria to tax farmers. That's coming from Middle Belt Forum. Arrest and repatriate the bandits to their countries. Christian Association of Nigeria is saying that. CDS expressed concern over delay in trial of terror suspect. You can see that story on page 9 and others on page 5. And here there's a picture that's showing governors elected in 1999 yesterday as they visited President Bola TINUBU, who was one of them in Abuja. And on page 8, sit at home. Southeast governors vow to deal with Simon Ekpa and others. APC NWC crisis deepens. How Adamu stabbed TINUBU, APC candidate of funds during polls. That's coming from Lukman, National Vice Chair. Why articles angry with me and G5 members? That's coming from Autumn. You can see that on page 4. Olufason says the truth is Nigeria won't have credible elections until INEC is truly independent of the government and ruling party. Sadly, INEC cannot escape allegations of partiality in this year's elections. You can see that on page 16. And on sport, House summons NFF over Falcons' unpaid bonuses and planned strike. Stories above on page 19. CBN directs banks to pay diaspora remittances to beneficiaries in Naira. Lightning kills 3 suspected kidnappers in Kwara. Subsidy remover, palliatives to relieve Nigerians on the way. That's coming from President TINUBU. 6 reps approval for 500 billion naira. You can see the stories on pages 4 and 9 and is accompanied with a picture of the president. On page 7, Nollywood actress Cynthia Okereke dies 1 year after kidnap. You can see that on page 7. Let's move straight to the Guardian newspaper. Guardian is leading with inflation and higher education. Tough times for students, parents as schools hike fees by 200%. On page 3, amid $1 billion legacy debt, Nigeria pushes for $12 billion revenue, 10 gas FIDs. Ladoja takes Makinde Olubadan, 10 others to court over Ibadan chieftaincy law review. TINUBU writes a rep for 500 billion naira to cushion subsidy removal impact. You can see that on page 6. And lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, Vanda steals second Niger bridge fittings. You can see that on page 8 of the Guardian newspaper. The Punch is leading with NLC protester TINUBU's 500 billion naira subsidy palliative demands 300% pay rise. Rep sit on 500 billion naira subsidy relief request today. Federal government labor for fresh negotiation. 500 billion naira not enough for 125 million poor Nigerians affected by the regulation that's coming from NLC and TUC. You can see that on page 2. And here on page 8, you have no Nigerian child should lack education. Malala tells the federal government. Vice President Kashim Shettima receives a delegation from the United Nations led by the UN Deputy Secretary General Chair, United Nations Sustainable Development Group, Mrs. Amina Mohammed, accompanied by the co-founder Malala and other officials of the Presidential Villa Abuja on Wednesday. On page 14, reps probe contract fraud, revenue leakages in Nimasa. House to investigate 14-year power outage in Ondo communities. After Obasanjo's revelation, Atiku cannot label me corrupt. That's coming from Autumn. Now let's move to the Nation. Nation is leading with TINUBU. Remedy for subsidy withdrawal achieved soon. President asks lawmakers to approve 500 billion naira palliatives cash. You can see that on page 4. Investors' confidence now boosted, says NGX. listed companies to get fiscal incentives. You can see that on page 4. Our next move against Russia by G7. No amnesty for bandits, says COAS. You can see that on page 5. Stories above. T-shirt, jeans wearing lawmaker set out from House of Reps chamber. You can see that on page 22. And lastly, on the Nation newspaper, we have Ladoja takes on Makinde Olubadan. Obas overstool. You can see that on page 27 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break for the analysis. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. And joining me this morning is Mr. Oludari Mayowa. He's a publisher of Global Financial Digest. Good morning, Mr. Mayowa.
Good morning, Damlola. Glad to be here today.
I think before we talk about the stories on the front pages, let me ask you about the rain. How is it side?
Yeah, rain has been very heavy. And what's particular about my area is that the wind is crazy and sometimes scary. You know, you hear the sound of the wind when it's moving and the snow. But it's good for farmers, it's good for the food security. So, and it lessens the weather, the hotness of the weather. So it's a balancing. We are glad it's coming.
All right, talking about security, a member of the House of Representatives representing Tanjaza Gudu Federal Constituency of Sokoto State, that Sani Yakubu, has raised alarm saying jihadists from Niger, Mali and Libya and the local bandit operating in Tangaza local government of the state have imposed a tax on farmers in the area. What do you think about this?
Yeah, thank you very much. When you look at it, this is it's not new really to our client. We have been experiencing this thing for a long time. Why? Because the border between Nigeria and Niger, Mali, and Chad and the rest. Don't forget that these people are the Fulani extend beyond Nigeria, the ethnic group extend beyond Nigeria to far another part of the country of the continent. So, and there's no distinction. When you even in Lagos, you see those guys in Okada, most of them we call them outside. They are not outside. Most of them are not from the north. They are from Niger, Mali, and the rest because they speak the same language and they have the same culture. They have cultural blends. So it's very difficult for you to distinguish between them. And equally, to find out that our former president Buhari said that his people are in Niger, so they see themselves as family, so to say. So it creates a opportunity for easy movement of people from those regions to come to this country. Unfortunately, many of them are moving away from their region. Most of this Western African region depend on Nigeria for food. So moving to Nigeria and committing crime is another dimension to it, which the government and security agents have to up their game. And oftentimes the inability of the security agency to handle this issue it has religion connotations, ethnic connotation. Or if, for example, the security agents are sympathetic towards these people because they see them as their people, it becomes very difficult for them to deal with them the way they ought to deal with them. And that's a major challenge that the present administration need to really find a way of addressing. Otherwise, we're going to be a serious challenge for food security, for the security of life and property in those areas. And what they are doing is just imposing tax on people to farm, and then we find they have to give them some of those farm products. And in the stranger coming to your land to tax you is very heartbreaking. But the government need to really move fast to curb it.
But
that's what I would say.
But is it acceptable for for foreigners to tax Nigerian farmers in their own country?
It's not even acceptable for even locals to tax locals, not talk about foreigners. That's a failure of government on that part of the country. Because the government has the responsibility for the citizen, for security, for protection, lives and property. And if government is failing in doing that, but just analyze the reason for this influx from outside the country. They speak the same language, they share the same culture, they share the same religion, and the security people around them tend to be sympathetic towards them because of their ethnic affiliation, regional affiliation, and the rest. But the government need to begin to address this issue, the porosity of the border. How do we allow these people to come in, regardless of whether we speak the same language as people? They are not Nigerian, and we should treat them as an alien in a way. And there should be a measure in place to curb this. People, I mean, that's why probably people who are canvassing state police are right in the sense that if you have a security outfit within those states who can protect the people within that time, because they be able to identify people who are strangers, they identify people who are foreigners in those lands and curb the activity, criminal activity in those areas. I think we're able to reduce into a manageable level the activity of these foreigners in our country.
Mm. All right, let's talk about the east and southeast. Simon Ekpa has imposed 2 weeks sit at home in the southeast, commencing from July 31st to August 14th. Let's not forget that they just finished 1 week sit at home. What do you think about this coming from a non-state actor?
The question the people want to ask themselves: who is benefiting for this sit at home? The economic loss, the money losses, and the rest. Who is benefiting? When you sit at home, you are not hearing anything. What benefit does it accrue to you? Does it affect the government they are trying to fight? No. And the state governments in that region had to sit up and actually have a town hall meeting with their people. Who is benefiting? So Ekpa is in Finland or wherever he is. He's sitting there. His family are hiding away there, enjoying themselves, and imposing difficulty on the lives and property of people in the southeast. Who is it campaigning for? Who is it trying to liberate? And oppressing people, preventing from earning money is a road to poverty. And is it benefiting the region? It's making the region to be retarded. There's a retrogression in that part of the region because people cannot be productive. They cannot go to their farm. They can't go to their market to sell. They cannot generate economic activities. And they are losing billions of naira into these activities. So the governors in that region must sit up. And the federal government equally must sit up and collaborate with people of interest to ensure to put an end to this. For people sitting abroad and causing mayhem in the local here is not acceptable. And government need to do something to curb it and to put an end to it. Because it's clearly, and people, for example, people want to invest. They don't want to invest in a region where people want to sit at home one week when their lives have been in danger, where their business have been in danger, where their properties have been in danger. So government need to really sit up and find solution to this thing very quickly.
But the government now is saying that nobody will obey. Simon Ekpa in the States is insisting that the illegal sit at home has ended.
Why I appreciate the governors in their pronouncements and trying to put an end to the sit at home something, but they need to go between they need to go further than that. They need to begin to put in place checks in a way that people know, because if government go to on radio and television and announce that the sit at home has ended and you went to your place and get killed, the next day they call that you have to obey those non-state actors and the government. So government need to do something practical to ensure that even when you say this, make this pronouncement, you back it up with realistic security check that will ensure that those hoodlums who are causing this mayhem are brought to justice. Without doing that, you just be making pronouncements and sitting in state government houses and let people vulnerable to all these bandits, killing people, innocent people all over the place. So government need to do something. Some people are suggesting that in most of this market, government need to install CCTV to ensure that the criminals are captured and the scenes are monitored real time so that they can deploy security agency to checkmate those people along that line. Whatever measure the government need to take, they need to take it fast because the people the region come to a jungle. That's what I would advise the government to do, rather than just making pronouncements and expect people to obey it.
But the president is seeking a rep's approval for 500 billion naira palliatives. What's your take on this?
Yes. While I agree that government should seek palliative against the harshness of the policy on the common people, but the methodology is what government need to work out. In the past, under the Buhari administration, we have had billions of naira being shared among the poor, but it has no effect. It has no impact on the poverty level because this money went to wrong hands. People in the national assemblies, the politicians, the SC, the special advisor, the minister, and the rest, they share this money among themselves because little impact are felt. I've never come across anybody within my region who have said I've received 5,000 from government. So where was this money going for? So government need to strategize and redesign this poverty alleviation measure in such a way that we have direct impact on the target. Not that people just announce billions of naira and at the end of the day there is no impact. Because the way the use of that money will determine how effective it will become. Not that we just be like what we used to what we used to experience in time past. This government must make a change. What do you want to do with that money? And they must be transparent in the way the money are deployed and utilized for the benefit of the common people in this country.
But NLC and TUC, they've turned down the 500 billion naira palliative proposed by the president, saying that it is grossly inadequate to assist the hardships confronting workers sequel to the fuel subsidy removal.
I think it's not the volume of the money, it's not the amount that government in the system. Is the deployment, is the allocation, is the distributions. How is government going to distribute this money? Is it just transferring cash to people who just take the money and go and drink baraga, or is the money deployed to area of needs of the people? Area that people need that will have a multiplier effect on the lives of the people. That's what the NSC and the TUC should be concerned about. They should be concerned about, yes, government review their salaries and take home. Equally, they concerned about how this money is going to be utilized in such a way that we have impact on people. I think that should be what they should be concerned about.
But they are demanding
as the budgeted or has been requested for. Let the government start with the government.
They are demanding a 300% salary increase.
Yeah, they can go to a negotiation table with government. If you are saying give us 300%, government say, okay, can we give 150% increase or 200% increase? Then let us see how beyond those who are just salary earner, who are just like 2% of the population or less than that. Let's see how the money the government can actually help to cushion the effect of the harsh policy on the common man on the streets, on those who are jobless. Those businesses have been ruined as a result of these policies. These are people who government should be more concerned about, and design a way that whatever the policy they are requesting has direct impact. That should be the way the NSC or any group should be concerned about, and not the value of the money. Yeah, if you put 500 billion in the system and it went down the drain, doesn't have any impact, also use. But if this money is properly allocated, properly distributed, or properly utilized in such a manner that will transform the system, that will impact directly the people concerned, then we are moving forward. That's the way I will see the labor to do. They should go to negotiation table with the government and negotiate salary reviews, rather than just say no, it's too little, it's not. The government is not saying they are going to use it to pay increase in salary. No, they are saying palliative. Is that they going to buy buses to improve the transport system for people who are bringing food from another part of the country, or easing the transport cost on the workers, on the people moving around? These are issues that government should look at generally. For me, that's the way I look at it, really.
Universities increased their fees by over 200%. Now, for federal universities, some went from 20,000 naira to 80,000 naira, as high as 100,000. While we have in state universities from 30,000 to 150, between 150,000 to 200,000 naira. What do you think about this?
Yeah, when you look at the fee, 20,000, 25,000, 5,000 in 10 pass, economic wise, it's not down the value. they derive from 20,000 you are paying. The government, they are not right. So expectantly, we expect the prices like every other thing in the country to go up in tandem with the rising inflation, rising interest and the rest. And for me, this is not unexpected because immediately the government introduced the so-called student loan, the fallout will definitely be government is saying, look, we are not going to fund public university any longer. If you want to go to university, go and borrow money to pay your school fees. That was the indirect message that government is passing to the people. Unfortunately, we are going to see I was discussing with somebody today, we're going to see a lot of people dropping out of school because they could not afford such fee. And we private universities, private institutions are increasing their fee. Definitely, we expect the private sector to jack up their fee. And then, based on the what we are explaining today, how many people can afford those fees? And people will now look for alternative. And what is alternative to education is ignorance. And what is alternative to ignorance is criminality. And these are things that government need to favor. Because when people just say, we are their student loan, what policy measure do they put in place? What guidelines do they put in place to ensure that indigenous people will have access to education, quality education under this system? It's a complicated thing. I just laugh when the government just announce a policy and without follow up. What are they doing? What is the implication? Are you doing impact assessment of these policies on the people? What are the impacts? What are the effects it's going to have on the people generally? And how are we going to ameliorate this impact? Government is not telling you anything about some of these things. That's the resultant effect of what we are seeing today. And we can't stop the university from increasing. Because the government is not funding them, they need to generate their own resources so that they can function properly as an institution that it ought to be.
All right, let's end this on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. this morning. The first person speaking today is Mrs. Mrs. says, you cannot continue to hate him because he calls you a poor man. He is my uncle and he has done a lot for me in life. He is the kind of person that walks into your life and leaves his footprints in your heart. And Mr. replied, oh my God, and you expect me to call you sweetheart?
What kind of footprint that person gives somebody's heart? In the sense of, that's summary of everything. What impact
Yes.
impact your life with what is carrying around, then something is wrong somewhere there.
Yes,
But it's a lovely relief.
Yes. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me today and have a lovely day.
Yes, and you too. And this is where we have to do the cutting. My name is Damlola Okunshakin. Do well to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen.